Hello, everybody, and welcome to What Culture. It is me, Ash Millman, joined by Josh Brown. Say hello, Josh Brown.
Hi everyone.
And also Kirsten Ria. Say hello, Kirsten Ria.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. Now, we are the little horror trio at the moment. We brought you the best horror movies that we've seen in 2020 recently, and now we're going to bring you the best horror TV shows that should be on your radar that have been announced recently, that we're just going to have a little look at what's coming, tell you what's going on, tell you what stuff we've seen that we think is great, just talk all things horror TV, basically. So we've gone from films to television, because most recently there has been a few new announcements that are particularly interesting. So first up, just to jump straight in with it, it is the Hellraiser series, which I think has potential to be really good. So we've already had a new film announcement, a reimagining reboot from David Bruckner, who did or who has previously done The Ritual and the Amateur Night segment of VHS. So he's got good credentials coming up for that. And this is going to be completely separate, and it's going to be the Hellraiser TV show. So how do you guys feel about that? Do you think Hellraiser lends itself well to a sort of TV format, or do you think they should just leave it alone now because it's been going on quite a while?
No, bring it back. Give me more Hellraiser, but give me more good Hellraiser, because that's a series where I just completely trail off after the first three, maybe at a push. I would probably only say two, the first two I really like. Then afterwards I go off. But I think it's quite, primed for a TV adaptation, because in my head, this is going to be sort of anthology based, like you follow a new group of survivors or whatever, discovering the Cenobites in the box every single, year, and have a kind of, just keep mixing. Oh, wow, I almost went on a broken record there. Keep mixing it up every single time you go to a new season. So yeah, I'm a big fan. I think the people who they've got on board to make it, David Gordon Green, for instance, obviously has a great track record with bringing back Halloween. So yes, I'm all for this. I thought I was going to be skeptical about it, but I'm here for more good Hellraiser.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think David Gordon Green, bringing up him, is obviously very exciting. And also on the team as well in writing is Michael Dougherty, who's obviously done Trick or Treat, Krampus, Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Like, the track records on this thing look very good. And again, it coming at the same sort of time as a David Bruckner movie. I just think all the names that are coming out around this are obviously very passionate horror people that are going to make a very passionate horror show and film. Like, both of them are very exciting. I think I have the big deadline, what they've announced, I guess, the description here, which is the idea is to create an elevated continuation and expansion of the well-established Hellraiser mythology. It is by no means a remake, but rather assumes the past mythology to be a given. The centerpiece remains Pinhead, the pin-cushion-headed merciless leader of the Cenobites, the formerly humans turned demons that live in an extra-dimensional realm and are activated through a puzzle box called the Lament Configuration. Oh my God, I almost struggled through that. The Cenobites come from hell to harvest human souls to keep balance between good and evil. So I think there's plenty there. Are you excited for it, Kirsten?
Yeah, it sounds amazing. I have only seen the first two, and then I think one of the newer ones, which I was appalled by because I just could not believe just how shockingly awful it was. But my mum she's a huge Hellraiser fan, so I'm sure when I tell her about this, she's going to be ecstatic. But like you said, because there is so many, that I think that's why it could work so easily as a series. And yeah, it would be brilliant to sort of, even if they did every season, sort of very similar to like how American Horror Story goes, as it's like a different family or a different person that's being affected by this, different characters. But yes, I think that it could work extremely well. I'm quite excited for it. That could be my new go-to binge watch series, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I think having just the Lament Configuration as the central point, you could make like an anthology series around it, like you say, just having it there, everyone going, oh, what's this puzzle box do? And trying to open it and then be like, oh,
maybe
no,
I should open it.
Yeah, like I think
ominous box.
Endlessly stuff to come from it, definitely. But also recently announced that I am like very excited about, and I think you guys will be too, is basically the Train to Busan director is going to head a series called Hellbound. So obviously we're getting Peninsula, I think sometime this year, as the Train to Busan sequel, and also a Train to Busan westernized remake, I think, as well. I think there's going to be an English language version of it. There's all sorts of Train to Busan stuff going around because it was an amazing original movie. So basically, in addition to the Korean zombie series, which is All of Us Are Dead, they're going to have Hellbound, which is Netflix's version. And yeah, it's based off an old webtoon. So I'm not sure if it's going to be animated or if it's going to be live action, but Just the names again. The names are exciting. I don't have many concepts for you other than just names. But yeah, Hellbound is coming, and it is Yeon Sang-ho who is heading it up. So that's going to be very good. Are you guys looking forward to that one?
I mean, Train to Busan was brilliant. What does annoy me is when you get these people, they try to westernize everything. That it's like, it's not broke, so don't fix it. If you don't want to commit to having like subtitles or something there, then you don't deserve a remake. Okay, it's just, it annoys me when they do that sort of stuff. But yeah, having a series come from the same like family of like Train to Busan sounds very good. Even if it is all in like Korean, I would be more than happy to watch that.
The only thing that like worries me about this is like, did you say it was a Netflix like original essentially? Ash, it's coming straight to Netflix.
It's Netflix are the ones who have their little hands all over it. Yeah.
Right, that for some reason, I don't know about you guys, but recently Netflix, I think because of the success of things like The Haunting of Hill House, have gone all in on this horror trend. And what I worry is that they're going down the route that they've already gone down before when it comes to original movies and other TV shows, where they kind of choose a quantity over quality approach, and they're greenlighting a lot of horror stuff because horror stuff is doing well. But that, in a way, might put me off a touch, because then it kind of dilutes the brand, and a lot of them are a bit hit or miss. Don't get me wrong, this sounds really good, and the fact that it's coming from this, studio is awesome. But I don't know, I'm always wary when things come to Netflix now. Netflix originally used to be the sign, like a banner of quality, of this is going to be good quality TV or movies that you're not going to find anywhere else. But that's just, for me personally anyway, waned over the last few years. So I'm a bit wary about that, but I am cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I think just the names involved again. I'm always excited about a director that I like. I'm like, oh yes, perfect. They're going to do an amazing thing, and then that's how you get let down as well. But I think these guys all coming in together to make something that also has a track record of doing quite well, being adapted before from this studio, could turn out well. I'm just excited to see what happens, because I feel like we've seen this amazing like Train to Busan. I want to see what happens next. Where is he going to take that kind of momentum? Where is this train going? Where does this station? Where are we going to get off?
Not off the rails. Whoa!
Whoa! There we go. The metaphors. But yeah, more animated. Potentially animated. Obviously, that one we're not sure if it's animated or live action, or I'm not sure. But an actual animated one is going to be a horror comedy coming out called Little Demon as well, soon enough. It's had a pilot basically approved, and this features Danny DeVito and Aubrey Plaza, and it's going to be an FX series. So I feel like that's, again, the names are good, but Danny DeVito sold.
Yes. Audrey Plaza, yes. If it had only one of them, I would already be there. Yeah,
absolutely. The description is, in Little Demon, 13 years after being impregnated by the devil, Danny DeVito, a reluctant mother, Plaza, and her Antichrist daughter, Lucy DeVito, attempt to live an ordinary life in Delaware, but are constantly thwarted by monstrous forces, including Satan, who yearns for custody of his daughter's soul. So, nonsense, basically.
Danny DeVito is going to be such a mischievous devil. You can see it. I can already picture it so well. I want him to wear a cheap Halloween costume with just, like the horns in a really bad cape. Like that's
like a really just cheesy costume, and like, yeah, that would, I can, all I'm imagining is like Danny DeVito in like Matilda, but in like a very crappy like devil costume, like a little red leotard or something. That would be brilliant.
No, I think that would absolutely make it, considering the people they've like, it's Audrey Plaza and Danny DeVito, it's FX. Like, I feel like they're just give in, guys. Go with your the way you want to make this, which is obviously as cheaply and funnily as possible. But yeah, I found that as like a little tidbit one. Other than that, we've got some more big series. I've got a million series on my little list. Goosebumps is getting another series. Obviously, the original one aired 25 years ago. Did you guys watch Goosebumps?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
terrifying. Still
I loved it. Yes. Yeah, there's a few episodes on Goosebumps that even as an adult, you look back and you think, how the hell did they get away with putting that on children's television? Like the one with, is it like Halloween Town or something, or like where it's like an amusement park? That one was bloody terrifying. It was horrible. And with the mask as well, with the girl, where it like takes over her personality and possesses her. Oh, terrifying.
Such good ideas. Like, it was horrible. It's like a nice little introductory taster for the horror genre, isn't it, as a kid? So I think having this come around for a new generation of kids, yes, please, and thank you. Neil H. Moritz, who is the producer of Goosebumps and Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween, which are the 2 feature films, says it's going to be a high-end television series that speaks to both adults and kids alike. Now, we've been very excited about Goosebumps the brand. Are we excited about Goosebumps the brand when it is put into the lens of Goosebumps the TV series? Goosebumps the films, Jesus. There you go, do Goosebumps the films instead.
Well, this is an uninformed take, but I never got around to watching the Goosebumps movies, the recent ones, just because they looked a bit naff. They looked like they had no bite to them. And that might sound daft for what is ostensibly a kid's horror series, but like we were just saying there, the original show and like the books as well always had like that real kind of darkness to them, like underneath. Like, it was still very much a kid's thing, but like, it made you scared, it made you spooked, is for as daft and as comic as it actually was. And I kind of want that back. A touch of nastiness, just a sprinkle, just a salt bay of nastiness in the actual show, and I would be in. But yeah, like, I feel like they've missed a trick when it comes to Goosebumps, because it's such a nostalgic brand and they could do it well. And to see, you know, other shows and movies of its ilk return and get, you know, promoted, especially in a brand like, you know, Netflix or something, it feels long overdue, a return to TV. So I am here for it.
I think that's a very nice way of looking at it. Like, it is overdue, isn't it? I think the thing that it gave, like our generation growing up, it'd be nice to see that again. But I do also hope it has the bite, as you say, the fangs. But yeah, other than that, something that does have a bit of bite that will chomp on you is this. There's going to be I'm struggling to get this out because it's another very exciting prospect, but also one that could go horribly wrong, which is another The Shining based series. So, called Overlook, from J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot. We're going to get something that goes into all of the horrors of the haunted hotel that were brought about in Stephen King's book and the film that originally came from it, from Stanley Kubrick. But it's basically going to go back to that land. Now, we have visited there recently with Dr. Sleep. So whether that is something that you think also has legs that can continue running, that will board the train to Busan train and hit the station, is I think hit or miss. Like, I'm so... I don't know, because it's such an iconic property. I don't know if it's worth going back to, but I also think there's loads of stories there that you could cover. And I think anything that Stephen King has such a massive lore and history and so many ideas tied into it that there's potential, but also potential to be really bad. So
yeah, I'm 100% with you there, Ash. I'm so divisive on this. I have so many different conflicting thoughts because, on the one hand, you mentioned Dr. Sleep there, and I liked Dr. Sleep enough as a movie, but all the way through that film, I kept thinking, man, this would make such a good TV show. Like, if they just split it up, it felt episodic as it was, it felt a bit overlong. And if they made that, you know, a 6 to 8 part show, I thought that could really excel in exploring the richness of that world, because there is a rich world there. However, what I don't want them to do is to just kind of, I don't know, like dilute it, as it were, because the original Stephen King novels are like so weird. It's so weird. I prefer the Stanley Kubrick movies, but you could do a lot with the material there. I'm so sorry. What I don't want them to do is just kind of fill in blanks that don't need filling in. There's so much mystery surrounding the Overlook Hotel and the ghosts that reside there that I worry if we know too much about the inner workings and the backstories of each of these ghouls, it might lessen the experience overall. I don't know whether we need it, but then I have been proven wrong about a bunch of different things that I didn't think we needed in terms of horror. So I keep going backwards and forwards on it. I want to see, you know, like the first episode, I want to see it go into production. There is great talent behind it. Like you said, J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot production company is backing it, and they've done some pretty good work in the past. So I do think, and again, I'm winning myself back around on it by just talking about other Stephen King adaptations, because Netflix has made a killing off Mike Flanagan pretty much doing every single one of those things. So if the studio can do something as authentic and as respectable and as good as those adaptations, then it could be something potentially special.
What do you think, Kirsten?
I agree. I agree with both of you. I agree with Ash that I think that the books are definitely better, and they have missed out a lot of very small details from the movies, but in the same aspects, like it's something that I would like to see, but at the same time, like Josh said, is it something that we need? Do we actually need to have an entire series around the Overlook Hotel? It does kind of feel like they are jumping on the whole haunted mansion sort of like bandwagon, like with the Haunting of Hill House, which was amazing. I don't know, it's difficult. Stephen King is a very talented man, and like I said, they've got a very good people kind of behind it, so it definitely could work well, but I just don't know if it will just seem like they are kind of trying to just jump on the bandwagon and copy what's kind of trending at the moment, and it will just be a kind of, just a bit of a bore fest, really.
I think it's a bit...
Sorry, no, go ahead, Josh.
I was just going to say, I might be wrong, but this is for HBO Max, isn't it? Yeah,
HBO Max are joining up with Bad Robot to make it.
Yeah, I think that's like such a good get for that streaming service. That's such a big name to have at launch. And, HBO does some really good stuff. I'm not sure about the streaming service, but I think that's like, if I was them, I'd be well pleased to have those names attached to this specific project because, horror is in, and to have such an iconic thing like that ready for, launch or coming a few months after launches will convince, people like me, even though I don't think we're going to get it over here. I hope we do. To want to seek out what else is on the streaming service.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think J.J. Abrams was most recently involved in Castle Rock as well. And if not, that's still a Stephen King series that was based around all of his lore and works and all that sort of thing. And I think that the first series of that was incredible. Like they paid such attention to detail to King's world, all the little things that he brings to life, and did really well with that. And then season 2 was about misery, and I watched the first episode or two and didn't get as hooked by it as I did the first season. But if they can have that sort of energy going in, then they could make something very good indeed.
Well, I'm pretty sure I read it's the same showrunner of Castle Rock coming over to at least write the pilot. I'm not sure whether they're overseeing the full show, but you would assume that, that knowledge and that understanding of how Stephen King stories work and the source material and stuff will hopefully follow over and be respectable, even though it's absolute madness that the Stephen King novels are the best. That's I don't know where that's coming from.
They actually are. All of this stuff is the best. You watch it, but the only thing that I think has been done better as a Stephen King film from the book is it, and that's only because of the ending. Like the ending is so hard to capture. I'm reading the book, the ending let me down, whereas in the film I felt like they captured the best of what they could out of that strange scenario. But just to keep it moving, to look at some more, we've got some stuff that hasn't been announced but is actually on the way and you'll be able to watch definitely this year, is Penny Dreadful City of Angels, which has had, I think, its first episode out and about at the moment to kind of help with what we're going through at the moment. And we've also got Lovecraft Country coming out as well, which is going to focus on Lovecraft creatures, and I think Jordan Peele is involved in producing that as well. So we've got some exciting series coming up that way. I bring these two up as I was going to ask you guys, what film, what thing do you want to see turned into a horror series? What would you most want to see as like a nice little question? And I was like looking everything up. Everything I looked up has already been made into a series. I just hadn't realized it. I was like, oh, great, wonderful. And looking up Lovecraft stuff, Lovecraft Country came up, and it completely left my mind. And then seeing that it's coming out this year, I think that's a particularly exciting one. But yeah. But I think what we should probably focus on now is, now we've got all of these lovely titles coming up and what they could offer and if they could be good or not be good and all the nice little properties they look at, what ones we have seen so far that we enjoy, that we want to focus on and say, this is what we want to see more of from horror series. What are the horror series that you guys love that you just want to say, hey, I really like that. It's very scary. I'd like more of it.
You know what? I'm gonna have to go back and talk about Dead Set. Did you guys watch Dead Set? Dead Set?
Yes.
That's it. Said it 3 times in a row now. The Charlie Brooker zombie movie, because I loved that, right? And I love Charlie Brooker's Black Mirror as well, obviously. And I would count that as a horror show. And I wanted to just see him do something new and original, because I feel like although he's put a lot of energy into Black Mirror, obviously, I feel like the latter seasons have been a little bit disappointing. Perhaps they're a bit stretched too thin. So I'd like to see him go back to his Dead Set roots and just create something very similar that can kind of tap back into social like social satire, as well as being terrifyingly pant-wettingly scary. Like Charlie Brooker, just do more stuff, please. I know things are bad. I know you got a lot on your plate. You're a very successful man, but for me, do me a favor, please.
A bit more dead set. A little bit of dead set for Josh as a treat.
Yes, please, yes.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for more Haunting of Hill House. I really enjoyed that series. I thought it was terrifying. There was loads of little Easter eggs and sneaky things that they hid in there, which makes it like rewatchable. And I just thought it was really, really well done. And I know there is like a new series like floating around and that they're saying it's gonna sort of come out, but it just seems like it's taken ages. So if they could just hurry up and get that in my face, I would be really, really happy, because I just, at the moment, like I've not watched a series that I was really gripped to for not only the story, but the ghosts and like the weird kind of like demonic creatures that they had in it. Like I can't remember his name, but like the really tall like bowler hat guy that just kind of like floated through the corridors. He was terrifying. There's just something about that. It's just so scary, and I'm just really excited to see what they can come up with for like the new series and see what that's going all about and what new ghosties and characters they have going on. Because yeah, I really, really, really loved the first series.
Oh, it was amazing.
Sorry, Ash, this delay is making me talk over you all the time. Yeah, I promise it's not on purpose. I was just going to ask him, like, for me, over like the past few years, like I found it really difficult to stick, like you said there, to like a horror TV show. I've dipped into a bunch of them, sometimes watched more than one season, and then just eventually, like, I've just fallen off it. Like I tried to get into the Exorcist show, and I think I did a season of that, and then couldn't get into the rest. You know, like I started Hannibal a long time ago. Watched stuff like I couldn't even get into Stranger Things. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. I don't know why. I've got knowledge about the first season of Scream knocking around in my head. That's just not attached to anything. So I want something that like properly gets me in, because a lot of the shows that I have gotten into were either cancelled way too soon, like Ash versus the Evil Dead, or I like special one-off appearances like Twin Peaks: The Return. For me, that is one of the best pieces of horror cinema, you know, anything I've just seen in a long, long time.
Yeah. No, I think that's very fair. I think horror works well in a film format, mainly because you can keep up the scares, can't you? It's like a sustained sense of actual fright is much easier to do in a film than it is a TV series, because instead of it boiling down to an hour and a half of being like, oh, well, that's very spooky, it's at least 10 hours of being like, oh, God, okay, that's spooky. Okay, now this is quite spooky. Oh, there's some more spooky stuff. So I think unless you're doing an anthology series where you can kind of stop and start and bring something new to the table each week, it's really, really hard to nail down actually worthwhile TV series that do things well. But yeah, I think the most successful two of them all, and that have gone downhill drastically in quality because of that problem, would be The Walking Dead and American Horror Story, which are both ones that I used to watch and now no longer do because I can't hack them anymore. Like, I'm just like, oh, come on.
Same. Like, even The Walking Dead, I watched 10 seasons of that show and haven't found myself catching up with the last season. I was there on day one when that thing launched, and I read all the comics, loved it and stuff. But yeah, I do think these things, as they go on, kind of just wane. And even in anthology shows like American Horror Story, like that kind of approach even shows you how difficult it is to switch things up and be creative and be fun, because you've got all of these possibilities at your fingertips, but at the same time you still have a fan base that you kind of need to cater to. So I do think you see a lot of things repeated, or, you know, things playing it safe. It's why I'm looking forward to that Lovecraft show, because I think, you know, if you go back to his short stories, a lot of them are very short and are better fitted for kind of that smaller format, because you can have a beginning and end, and you can pace the horror better, like you said. Like, you don't have those lulls, and you can properly finely tune the scares like you can in a movie, I would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Agree.
To kind of like round off our lovely TV conversation, usually for our podcasts, we ask for questions and that sort of thing and lovely stuff from you guys. So if you do have any questions that you want us to answer on further podcasts, I'm going to make up a hashtag right here, which is like WC Horror, which is easy enough to remember. So if you have any questions you want to ask us that we answer in the end of other podcasts, make it WC Horror, either and then at one of us guys, which will give you all our socials at the end, so that's easy enough. But for now, I'm going to give you my question to you guys so that we can do it this way, which is, what film do you think deserves its own TV spin-off? Obviously, with Hellraiser getting it's a lovely TV series focusing on that, what property do you think could be transformed into TV series and done well, and it hasn't existed already because a million of them have?
Well, I'm gonna have to cheat. I've got two for you, and one of them I'm not certain hasn't been done before, but I want to see Suspiria and American Psycho as TV series. American Psycho, I think, would work because they've been trying to reboot that as a movie series for a while now, but I don't think it fits a movie format. Ironically, considering we've just kind of complained about the format and structure of TV, I think the episodic nature of the American Psycho book, especially, with Patrick Bateman just kind of living this mad day-to-day life and increasingly getting more insane and unhinged as the book goes on, as he indulges in these murders, I think better fits like a 1 or 2 series like limited show where you can follow him on his day-to-day and killing all these people and having kind of like the pressure mount on him, watching as he becomes more confident in his abilities, becomes more unhinged while the police or society or whatever close in. Because I do think that even though it's a book about like 80s excess and yuppie culture and stuff, I still think you can still make it very relevant for kind of the modern age. Like Patrick Bateman absolutely would be like a social media influencer or something right now if he updated it. He would be along those lines, and I just think it would work. I feel like Hollywood has struggled to find a format that fits that book because it is like so controversial and so dense and so weird at some points that I would like to see it as a show. And Suspiria, just because I love Suspiria, like I've got nothing more than that. No good insight. I just want more Suspiria, whether it's Dario Argento's original or the recent remake. I don't mind. I'm not picky. Just again, the TV studios out there, do me a favor.
Anything on witchcraft, I think, will lend itself well to a TV series. American Horror Stories Coven was the best series. Anything that's all about that sort of thing. I think Suspiria having like a focus on the witchcraft side of it and kind of delving into that, I think it would have to be, for me, the Dario Argento version where everything's colourful and ridiculous and kind of just a bit campy. I think that would be, that would be very good. That would be very good. But yeah, Kirsten, what about you? What would you want to see turned into a TV series?
So I would love like a TV adaptation or kind of like a spin-off series of the current Conjuring movie series, but because Ed and Lorraine Warren, they fascinate me. I think they are brilliant. I'm not sure if they've both passed away, but I know Lorraine has definitely passed away by now, unfortunately. But they just have so many brilliant stories to tell. And if they did kind of do a TV series literally based on just Ed and Lorraine and the things that they investigated, because they've also got that entire room full of artifacts, and I want to know the stories behind those artifacts. I would like to know from day one, like how they kind of briefly met and how they just kind of went into this whole ghost hunting, Ghostbusters like thing. Yeah, I think it would work so well, especially if they could get like Vera Farmiga, and I forget the name of the guy that is in it, which I love, but that would be perfect. I mean, she was in Bates Motel, so she's been in series and stuff before, so I wouldn't put it past her. Yeah, I think it could work brilliantly. I just want to know, like, I just need to know about these artifacts. I just think it like an episodic, they could just call it The Warrens or something. It just would be, I'd love it. Like The Warrens, a spin-off from The Conjuring, or I don't know. I just think it would work really well. And I want to know more about them. Like, they really fascinate me.
I think the Warrens is, Chef's Kiss. I love that as a title. Like, it's proper, like,
Hit me up, studios. I'll happily produce and direct. It's fine. Okay, maybe not produce, but I will happily direct.
Yes, that would be fun. Like, I would love to see that. I think Annabelle Comes Home was the most recent one that kind of did some, like, actual artifact stuff. And they didn't go into it half as much as would actually be interesting. So to have it in TV series definitely is an amazing shout. That would work so well as an anthology, like running on, let's see what each episode brings. Oh my God, it's the haunted back scratcher.
Oh, not again.
I think for me, I looked all over the place here. I was like, maybe they could do a Nightmare on Elm Street one, look at it, have people have a nightmare each time that Freddy's Nightmares exist. I was thinking, they could do one on Lovecraft monsters and go to him. Lovecraft Country exists. I was like, maybe you could look at VHS, have anthology theory based on that sort of thing, and that exists as well. Like all of the things that I think, that'd be good exist. My other like personal one that I would want would be like creepypastas brought to life into TV series. Channel Zero exists. Yeah, so there's all sorts of everywhere. The best that I have is leaning back into my Stephen King days of reading all his short stories, and there's only a couple that I don't think have actually had any sort of screen adaptation. The Jaunt is coming up with Andy Muschietti. Is going to, I think it's Andy Muschietti, someone who's already done his, like familiar with his work, is having a go at making that into a film, I think. But I think it would actually work really well as a series because it's about this people who go to Mars in a transport system, and basically the transport system is where the horror exists, this teleportation device, because to do a spoiler, just to spoil everyone, it's a short story, so it's not going to ruin your experience of reading it if you do go to it. But like he basically stays awake whilst he does teleportation, where he's supposed to stay asleep, and sees eternity and is like sent insane. But I think taking the context of that, where Earth is like moved on to living on colonies on Mars, and there is all of this horror and empty space and kind of psychedelic stuff that you could use from that bit. I think taking the smallest, tiniest story and then spinning it out into a series and building your own lore around it would be far more interesting than taking stuff that he's already built up to be quite lore dense. Like the Dark Tower and stuff, I don't think was quite as successful because it is a massive book series with masses of stuff around it. So making it into a film is difficult. So The Jaunt would be my first pick, but I speak about it all the time. So I think the Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon would also be another one, which is about a girl lost in the woods. I think you could do loads of creepy things where she's having like trippy moments, like visiting different things, doing flashbacks and that sort of thing. I think that would be really interesting, would be like 2 Stephen King picks, because it always has to come back to Stephen King somehow. It always has to.
That sounds sick. I've never heard of The Jaunt. That is a great premise. I mean, it's spoiled now. You spoiled it all for me. I have to check it out. I want to see that happen.
I about it on another chatty face, Josh. You should have been there.
I was there. I remember. I think I left the room. I can't remember. We do a lot of videos, okay? Is my excuse for everything, for not knowing stuff.
No, that's very fair. But yeah, so I think that's all of our choices for stuff that we would like to see. This is everything that's coming up as well. I've had a big rundown of everything, and you've heard a few of the things that we really like as well. So everyone, if you enjoyed this, please let us know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. And the introduction of the lovely hashtag WC Horror has just emerged, where you can ask lovely questions to us about what you want to see in these, series, what you want to hear from us. We do it for gaming, we do it for wrestling, we do it all over the place for podcast questions. So if you want your little question out with a shout out of your name and we answer it, send us a question with WC Horror. And you can do that to me at Ash Millman, or to Josh at
Josh Brune with 2 O's on Twitter.
Yes, or to Kirsten at
Kirsten Rea with 2 A's.
Yes, and points if you tag all 3 of us in it, because then we all see it. So yeah, send us some lovely questions. Enjoy these TV series that are coming out. Go and find the ones we spoke about that are good and watch those as well. And let us know what you want to see from the world of TV horror in the future. For now, though, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.